new book is a bunch of poems all about a family that live together in a house and they're a little strange. The pretty book is about a bunch of people in a carnival, and it's set like around the Depression. They're kind of strange too. All the poems in the new book have the word about in them, so don't worry. This one's called, it's a minimalist book. This one's called About the Bath. Everyone takes a bath eventually. As is a custom in polite society, the family dedicated an entire room to bathing. They kept it private, nestled beneath an errant staircase that eluded all but the most determined house guests. They had spared no expense in this room. It offered every amenity: imported marble tiles, cedar cupboards, brass faucets with antique ceramic handles, a clawfoot tub big enough to drown a man. This last item had been installed at the mother's request, and she tested it regularly. She could hold her breath for nearly 11 minutes at a time, 12 if under duress, and sometimes spent the entire morning at the bottom of the tub, luxuriating in its length, soaking in moisturizing mineral powders, salt scented with essential oils, water, hot enough to scald. This one's called About the Sisters. One day the mother announced that she had decided to stop having babies. The family applauded. Later, when the sisters continued to arrive in the usual manner, no one knew quite who to blame. Instead, they put each new sister into the nursery with the others, pushing aside piles of stuffed elephants and picture books to make room. All the sisters looked the same. People tried to distinguish them with adjectives: tall, small, meek, weak. But the relative nature of such labels proved problematic. The smallest sister only stayed small until a newer, smaller version of herself arrived. The sweetest sister missed her nap and turned sour. It made more sense to address the sisters as a collective, to speak to them en masse, to acknowledge their insidious sameness. The sisters enjoyed the resemblance and used it to their advantage, often exchanging clothes or names or hairstyles. As they grew older, the sisters discovered other things they could trade. One swapped her laugh for another's freckles. One gave away her blue eyes. The oldest sisters slept together in the same bed night after night, their arms and legs a hopeless tangle. No one could tell where one girl stopped and the next began. They spoke and moved in unison, even while asleep. They dreamed each other's dreams. The last time I read here, I read some of these poems, and one of my Kaplan students came, and he was like, "You should write a poem about the grandparents." This is it. It's coincidentally called About the Grandparents. Grandparents start off old and only get older. It doesn't matter how much you like or dislike them. They will age regardless. This will happen too slowly to notice. The grandparents favor routine. All their habits have acquired a certain elegance. The grandmother has kept every hat she ever wore, every glove, each coat, all her shoes. She stores them in a thrift store dresser in the attic, stuffs each warp drawer to the spilling point, covers the top with costume jewelry and unused cosmetics. The grandfather has no use for fine clothes or beauty products. He hoards racing forms and scratch-off lottery tickets, subscribes to 5 different newspapers, 3 local, 2 from home, starts a pot of tea first thing in the morning and drinks it all day long. Every so often, he tosses a new tea bag into the pot, and by early evening, the liquid inside has turned nearly solid, its color a muddy caramel, its taste thick and oddly sweet. Years ago, the grandparents had an argument. It still rankles on humid days. In cooler weather, it is easier to forget. About about the father. A father gets frustrated, just like anyone. Just like anyone, a father has hopes and dreams and diffuse desires. The shape of desire will shift over time, but its weight remains constant. There are always new cravings to carry. The father keeps his boyhood ambitions in a safety deposit box, hidden among birth certificates and savings bonds and deeds of ownership. He rarely visits them. He barely remembers his adolescence, his portable typewriter with its faulty carriage, his first job at the train depot, his exotic college girlfriend. From Finland, he thinks. Although perhaps she was only Swedish. The sisters pull at his sleeves, demand to be held, insist on his undivided attention. The mother taunts him with her muted perfection. Despite his best efforts, the things he never wanted to happen continue to happen. About the house, so you know where they live. Like a city built on rock and roll, the house is structurally unsound. It consists largely of stairs and stairways and staircases and all the small things stairs require. Balusters and balustrades, bullnoses and open risers, handrails, newel posts, landings, flights, mitered joints, drops, scrolls, winders, treads. It's an assembly of curves and helixes. It's held together with spirals and strings. Every door in the house is slightly smaller than its corresponding frame, and so each one has a tendency to open and shut without warning. Nothing fits as it should. The windows stick, the floors tilt, the walls meet at all the wrong angles. The roof extends beyond the bounds of decency. It defies all modes of description. So that's done. The other thing that I've always wanted to do is read from an actual book. I'm so excited about this. It's like a dream come true. Thank you. I'm going to tell you really quickly the story of how they published this book. I was working on the manuscript, and I wanted to get advice about the order for the poems. And I was like, oh, Chris, I know you have like 3 jobs and are applying to school and have a fabulous husband. But could you look at my manuscript and tell me what you think about the order? And she emailed me back like really quickly, and she's like, who are you sending this to? And if they say no, can we publish it? And I was like, or you could just publish it that way. I'll send them something else. And that's what happened. And that was a very exciting day for me.
It was an exciting day for me.
Yeah. Okay. This one's about a knife thrower. Like that. It's called like that. I've been a little sick. Okay. The way he throws the knife. She left him 5 times. She stayed away all last season, hid in some random city, wore each new job like a costume, told lies about the past. No one knew the true story. No one spoke her name, but we imagined her happy, safe inside the ordinary world, free of the spotlight and the stage, disentangled from her sequin bodice and the slight tremble that sometimes strikes his left hand. Quick as a shadow, she fell back into their old routine, her body flat against the wall, her breath held hostage to the knife. The target is all that matters. It's her face, her fate, her fear on display. Her life risked for a restless audience. Statistics demand that the knife must hit its mark eventually. Still, she never flinches when the blade draws blood. She never cries or closes her eyes. Not even when he kisses her, slowly. Not even when he breaks her heart. The less you see, the less you fear. And yet she meets his gaze every night, watches as his thin arm takes aim at the outline of her body, the space shaped by silhouette and absence. Like any addiction, he consumes all thought, clouds memory, camouflages lust. It isn't love that binds them. Love doesn't lure her back. It's just the way he throws the knife. I'm sorry. My sister doesn't like this poem. Possibly because it's called The Saddest Girl in the World. She's the saddest girl. The saddest thing in the world. It's true. Every freak has a story, true or false. Every act has a concept, an angle, a hook to hang your hat on, to bait your trap. Some freaks frighten, some frolic, some fold their bodies flat as farmland. The saddest girl in the world freezes in August, shivers in the dry, airless heat. The sun hangs over her like a tumor. The ceaseless dust coats her ashen skin. She's only a child. She has no talent, no tricks to amuse the crowd. She sits on a swing in a giant dome cage, unhappy as a mute songbird, her static face muddy with tears. Her eyes hold nothing. The rusted cage holds nothing other than the saddest girl in the world and a little white suitcase that holds all she owns. Her parents told her she will never be pretty. She's the saddest thing. This one's called At the Fortune Teller's Booth. Women wait outside his tent, grow thin as sticks, their brittle bones stacked in odd shapes. Their skin shrinks, dry as parchment, taut as trapeze wire. It glistens with the chill of heat. All day girls stay in the grim glare of the sun, pale and tired, dull with desire. They die by degrees, for love, for longing cruel as any heartbreak, inscrutable as Santeria. The seer glides among them, a lithe sheaf of shadow, a lazy eddy of grief. Each day he decodes dirty palms, combs tangled hair, coos to babies buried in the womb, culls disbelief from the crowd. He reads tarot cards, tea leaves, entrails, faces. He interprets even the darkest dreams. And at least one girl falls in every town, her heart sick, her lungs choked, her mouth still open, still wet. This is a poem I tried to get published 17 times. I really like it. They published it. I really like them. It's called Under the Big Top. Oh my gosh. No one notices the night sky. They count stars or follow the moon through all its languid phases, blinded by the illusion of light. No one sees the backdrop, the shadow that shapes and guards each delicate constellation. Each star spins on invisible wire, falls effortlessly into its assigned position, and not one person applauds. No one could expect anything less from a star, from the sky. I fall, night after night, netless and alone. I trained for this my whole life, spent years in the air learning to dive through the white glare of spotlight, the physics of flight, swinging me over the bar and farther, a solitary wheeling circle, all flash and spiral and silver sparkle. But nobody ever sees me, my body. Physics is like that. And math always works without the story, without the trapeze or the aerialist who starts from rest, swings downward, lets go, falls freely. Gravity's work can be expressed in the equation W equals mgh, where m is the mass of the person and h the magnitude of the vertical component. I begin as pure potential, the mechanical energy of desire and skill, and conserve this force no matter which path I take towards the ground, towards the finale. Anyone may calculate my velocity independent of my individual mass, my individual presence. Anyone may admire a star, although the sky remains a vast unknown. I'm going to end with the first poem. That seemed classy. It's the last poem I wrote for the book, so. The act of ignition. It begins slowly. The girl stands alone in a field. She looks toward the sun. Then a flicker of light cuts through her, spills down her arms and legs, chars her hair, crumbles her clothes to ash. Veins beneath her scorched skin pulsate, blue with flame. The sky turns to smoke. The clouds catch the heat, hold it in place above the speechless crowd. In open spaces, fire fills a void, carves out a place for new growth. A fire spreads like cancer. Her power developed suddenly. One morning she awoke, felt all her organs shift and spark like flint inside her. The blaze shot through her system, shocked her heart, left a black mark on her brain. She learned to control this in time. She learned a single cell can incite a riot, your own body betray you, your own blood turn traitor. She learned. She believes all fear in the present is pointless. The future holds 100 deaths, 1,000 different ways to burn.